They moved on, fast, too fast. You're still processing the end, and they're already posting someone new. Already smiling in photos. Already acting like what you had never mattered at all. And it hurts. Of course it hurts. But here's the question no one's asking. Why does the rebound never last? Why does the person they chose so quickly after you fade just as quickly? Why do they cycle through people like they're searching for something they can't seem to find? Most people think the avoidant moved on because they're over you. They didn't. They moved on because they're running from you, from what you represented, from the depth you required. And by the end of this, you'll understand the brutal psychology behind why their rebound isn't a replacement. It's a distraction, and why that distraction will always fail. And why, eventually, they'll realize that what they're looking for in every new face is the thing they walked away from. In yours, here's what you need to understand first. The avoidant doesn't choose a rebound because that person is better. They choose them because that person is easier. Easier to control. Easier to keep at a distance. Easier to leave when things start to feel too real. The rebound isn't an upgrade. It's a downgrade disguised as moving forward. Because here's the hidden mechanism most people miss. The avoidance rebound isn't about connection. It's about regulation. After the intensity of what they had with you, after the vulnerability they almost let themselves feel, after the terrifying closeness they experienced before they pulled away, they need someone who doesn't make them feel any of that. They need someone surface level. Someone who doesn't ask deep questions. Someone who doesn't see through their walls. Someone who won't make them confront the parts of themselves they're still avoiding. And that's exactly what the rebound provides. Temporary relief, the illusion of moving on, the distraction from the discomfort of having lost something real. But relief isn't fulfillment, and distraction isn't healing. And eventually, the avoidant realizes that the person standing in front of them isn't filling the space you left, they're just occupying it. Phase 1. The false start. In the beginning, the rebound looks perfect, at least from the outside. The avoidance seems lighter, more engaged, more present. They're posting more. They're going out more. They're performing the role of someone who's moved on effortlessly. And if you're watching, it feels like confirmation. Like they replaced you without even pausing to process what you had. But here's what's actually happening internally. They're performing, not for you, for themselves. They need to believe they're fine. They need to prove to themselves that they don't need deep connection to be happy, that they can have intimacy without intensity, that they made the right choice by walking away from something that required too much. The rebound serves a function. She's agreeable where you challenged them. She's distant where you wanted closeness. She doesn't push where you held them accountable. And in that lack of friction, the avoidant mistakes comfort for compatibility. They think this is what they wanted all along. Someone easier. Someone less complicated. Someone who doesn't make them feel the things you made them feel. But ease isn't depth, and comfort isn't connection. And the absence of challenge isn't the same as the presence of peace. Phase 2. The comparison begins. A few weeks in, maybe a month, and something starts to feel off. The rebound says something, and it doesn't land the way your words used to. She laughs, but the humor feels flat. She's interested, but the curiosity isn't there. She's present, but the presence feels hollow. And this is where the avoidance nervous system starts to notice the difference. not consciously, not in a way they can articulate. But underneath the surface, there's a growing awareness. This person isn't you, and that difference isn't neutral. It's a deficiency. Externally, they're still showing up, still going through the motions, still posting the photos and having the dates. But internally, the comparison has begun. They start remembering the way you used to listen, the way you used to ask questions that made them think, the way you saw them, really saw them, in a way no one else did. And the rebound, no matter how nice she is, can't replicate that, because she doesn't have the depth. She doesn't have the insight. She doesn't have the emotional range. And the avoidant starts to feel it, a quiet dissatisfaction, a low-grade emptiness. The sense that they're going through the motions of connection without actually connecting. And that realization doesn't come with relief. It comes with regret. Phase 3. The disconnection spiral. The rebound starts to notice too. She can feel that he's not fully there, that his attention is somewhere else, that he's emotionally checked out in a way she can't quite name. And she does what most people do in that position. She tries harder. She becomes more available, more accommodating, more willing to shrink herself to fit into the space he's offering, and the avoidant pulls back further. Not because she's doing anything wrong, but because her eagerness reminds him of what he's missing. You never chased him like that. You never shrunk yourself. You met him where he was, but you never diminished yourself to keep him. And that self-possession, that quiet confidence, is what he's realizing he can't find in anyone else. Externally, the relationship starts to fracture. They see each other less. The texts become shorter. The energy shifts from excitement to obligation. And the rebound starts to sense what you already knew. She's a placeholder. She's temporary. She's not the one he's thinking about when he goes quiet. Internally, the avoidant is spiraling, because he thought the rebound would fix the discomfort. He thought moving on quickly would prove he didn't need you. But instead, every moment with her is a reminder of what he lost. Every surface-level conversation highlights the depth you brought. Every time she can't read him the way you could, he feels the absence more acutely. Phase 4. The failed replacement. The rebound ends. Not with drama. Not with a big confrontation. It just fizzles. She pulls away because she can feel she's not wanted. Or he pulls away because he can't keep pretending. Either way, it ends. And the avoidant is alone again. But this time, the aloneness feels different. Because now he knows. The rebound wasn't a failure because she wasn't good enough. It was a failure because she wasn't you. And that knowing is permanent. He can't undo it. He can't go back to believing that surface-level connection will satisfy him. He can't pretend anymore that what he had with you was just one option among many. You weren't an option. You were the standard. And everyone after you is being measured against something they can't reach, not because you were perfect, but because you were real. You brought depth. You brought challenge. You brought the kind of connection that doesn't come from ease. It comes from presence, from honesty, from the willingness to be seen and to see someone else fully. And the avoidant walked away from that because it scared him. And now, in the wreckage of a rebound that never stood a chance, he's realizing that fear cost him the one thing he'll spend years trying to find again. Here's what most people do when they see the avoidant with someone new. They collapse. They compare. They wonder what the rebound has that they didn't. They scroll through photos, looking for clues. They torture themselves trying to understand how they were so easily replaced. But here's what actually creates power. You understand that the rebound isn't a replacement. It's a band-aid. It's the avoidance attempt to avoid the pain of losing you by numbing themselves with someone who requires nothing from them. And band-aids don't heal wounds. They just cover them until they're forced to be dealt with. And when you operate from that understanding, the rebound stops threatening you, because you're not competing with her. You never were. She's playing a different game entirely. She's trying to be chosen. You've already been irreplaceable. And those are not the same thing. Principle 1. Stop interpreting their rebound as your inadequacy. The speed at which they moved on has nothing to do with your value. It has everything to do with their avoidance. They didn't replace you because you were replaceable. They tried to replace you because the alternative, sitting with what they lost, was too painful. Don't internalize their coping mechanism as a reflection of your worth. Principle 2. Detach from the outcome of their rebound. Whether it lasts or fails isn't your business. Whether they're happy or miserable isn't your concern. Whether they realize their mistake or double down on their pattern doesn't determine your healing. You're not waiting for their rebound to collapse so you can feel vindicated. You're building a life where their choices don't dictate your peace. Principle 3. Recognize the difference between being replaced and being irreplaceable. Someone can put another person in your position without that person filling your role. The avoidant can date someone new. They can even commit to someone new. But commitment doesn't mean connection. Presence doesn't mean depth. And being with someone doesn't mean they've moved past you. Principle 4. Refuse to compete with a ghost. Because that's what the rebound is. A shadow of what the avoidant thinks they want. A stand-in for the connection they're too afraid to fully pursue. You're not in a competition with her because she was never actually in the running. She's a distraction, and distractions fade. Principle 5. Understand that their pattern will repeat until they face it. The rebound will fail, and there will be another one, and another, until the avoidant stops running from intimacy and starts running toward healing. And that timeline isn't yours to manage. You can't fix their pattern. You can only refuse to participate in it. This isn't about them anymore. It's about you. It's about understanding that being irreplaceable doesn't mean you'll be chosen again. It means that everyone who comes after you will be measured against a standard they can't meet. And that's not your responsibility to carry. That's theirs. You don't need their rebound to fail for you to succeed. You don't need them to regret their choice for you to move forward. You don't need their relationship to crumble for your value to be confirmed. Your value was never conditional on their capacity to recognize it. You don't wait for their rebound to end. You end the cycle of waiting. You don't wonder if they'll realize. You realize that their realization is irrelevant. You don't track their mistakes. You focus on your evolution. You don't react to their choices. You respond to your needs. You don't compete with their distractions. You create your peace. You don't prove your worth. You live it. And the woman who can do that isn't waiting for the avoidant to come back after the rebound fails. She's already gone, not out of bitterness, out of clarity. She knows that being someone's measuring stick isn't the same as being someone's choice. And she's no longer interested in being either. She's chosen herself, and that choice is final. So here's the question. What if the rebound's failure has nothing to do with you and everything to do with the fact that they're looking for you in everyone else? And what if that's not your problem to solve anymore? Because you're not the woman who waits to be realized. You're the woman who walked away whole. And that wholeness is why they can't replace you, not because you're perfect, but because you're real. And real doesn't come twice.